Ma'am, do you see my screen, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Research is to see what everybody else has seen and to think what nobody has thought. Albert Einstein, the most respected and honorable principal, head of the departments, faculty members, the organizing team of this FDP of Sitalashmi Ramaswamy College, Trichy, and faculty members, research scholars, and students from different institutions who are taking part in this online program. A very, very pleasant and joyful evening to each and every one of you. It gives me immense pleasure to be a part of this long FDP, which has been meticulously planned so that you get an awareness of how you can go about with the research productivity, and measure the impact of your research. Actually, we are all doing research. In these 5 days, you might have learned how to write a research paper, how to write a research proposal, how to check the paper against plagiarism, how to how to select the right journal for publishing a research paper, and how you can get yourself avoided from the so-called predatory journals, how you can extend your collaboration and build networks for building your research works. So once you have done all these things, you go for publishing your research papers. So many of us do publish papers. In fact, why do we publish papers? Thanks to NAC or NARF ranking or NBA ranking or some kind of world rankings, we have forced to publish papers. Sometimes for the purpose of career advancement, we publish papers. Or whenever you apply for new jobs, we need papers, so we publish papers. It's a must for PhD scholars that unless otherwise they publish two papers, their snapshots will not be accepted. So they publish papers. And most of us, out of our own interest, we publish papers. Let us not worry about the reason for publishing papers, but we publish papers. After publishing papers, what we start doing is we start analyzing what is the research productivity of the individuals, those who are publishing papers. Since time immemorial, many mechanisms are in force that help us to understand and evaluate how good a faculty is in the research work, how effective a researcher is in disseminating his knowledge to the peer groups. Many years before, we used to ask a question, how many papers have you published? If a researcher says that I got 10 papers, another researcher says I have published 20 papers, we feel the author who published 20 papers is better than the one who published 10 papers. So the number of publications was used as a mechanism to measure the productivity of the individual authors. After a few years, they started asking another set of questions. Where have you published your paper? You publish a paper in a peer-reviewed journal, a non-peer-reviewed journal, national journal, international journal, index journal. So additional parameters were also pouring into the area. Of late, some 30, 40 years before, a beautiful metric called a citation came into existence. While the number of publication talks about the quantity, citation talks about the quality of your research publications. When you get more citations, it does mean that more people are referring to your paper. Your paper is being referred to in many of the successive research papers, and that shows the research impact of your contribution. Good. So what is citation? It's very, very simple. Citation is nothing but the formal method of acknowledging the use of others' work. You take others' ideas, concepts, methods, methodologies, tools, findings, whatever it may use, take from others. You are trying to use it in your research work. Then formally you are thanking them. That formal thanking is called as citation. Good. So normally, how do we understand? So for example, I am writing a research paper in the review of literature. I am referring to, for example, Subha ma'am. So Subha madam's paper, I read, I was impressed. I just copied 2 or 3 lines from Subha madam's paper. I have incorporated into my research paper, maybe as a direct quotation, or as a paraphrasing, or a summary. So I will mention, if I'm following APA style, I'll write Subha, 2024 in the review section of my paper. At the end of my paper, the list of references, I give full particulars about the paper from which I have copied the content of Subha Madam's. Maybe Subha Madam's name, year of publication, title of the paper, title of the journal, volume number, issue number, page numbers, etc. etc. This is called, when I do so, Subha Madam gets one citation. So I am very clear what citation is to you all. Why do we cite? See, when we are writing a research paper, we have to cite others. We have to refer to others' work. We have to study the previous researchers. We have to find out what they have done. Based on that, we have to proceed. So why do we cite? There are many reasons. One is, whenever you take content from others, you should be acknowledging the original author who has created this content. So you are citing them. And whenever you feel that you want to add some points from various authors to support your point of view, to support your conclusion, to support your theory, to support your arguments, you go for reference. And you have to prove yourself as a credible author. Unless otherwise you refer to others' papers properly, then you will be getting into that trouble of plagiarism. So you are referring to papers. Not only that, once you cite others, prepare a list of references. These references will be useful for the followers. Maybe next day, when I refer to a paper written by Ramaswamy, I'll go through a list of references. Those list of references will help me to find out the related useful papers in that field. Fine. So we cite for many reasons. Yes. What is the question here is that, sir, I published 10 papers. How do I know out of 10 papers that I published, how many papers are cited? If at all my papers are cited, who cited my papers? And which year my papers were cited? How many times my papers were cited? How can I find out the number of citations I have received for my papers? What are the areas? What are the solutions for this particular problem? See, there is a tool called citation index, which was developed long before in 1870s for legal work. When a lawyer is quoting the verdict given by the judge for the previous case and quoting it to be used for his personal purpose in the present case, this kind of citation index came into existence. See, citation index is nothing but a database where you can find out a lot of documents. You can find out which document has cited which documents. That means which later documents are citing which earlier documents. So this network is called citation databases. In fact, when you talk about academic citations, we should be thankful to Eugene Garfield, the founder of ISI, who introduced the first citation index for academic journals. He started science citation indexing, then social sciences citation index, then arts and humanities citation index. Then came other services like CiteSeer, where they automated the whole process. So if you want to know how many citations I have received for my papers, you have to depend on the citation databases. There are some citation databases, they are purely commercial. Unless otherwise you pay money and purchase, you cannot find out number of citations. For example, Web of Science, Scopus, there are commercial databases. Apart from these commercial citation indexes, there are other non-commercial citation databases, something like CiteSeer, Indian Citation Index, Google Scholar, Dimensions, PubMed, SSRN. So they're also giving the citations obtained by a particular research paper. For example, I opened CiteSeer. I typed the keyword called cell biology. I got the results. You can see here, just beneath every paper, they have given number of citations received by this particular paper. Just give a click on this, all those cited papers will appear. So I can find out how many people, who and all, in which year cited my paper. I can find out in CiteSeer. The same way, go to Google Scholar. For example, I type digital library, good. I got the papers. You can see here at the bottommost line of every article, you can see cited by 708. It means that this particular paper is cited by 708 other research papers. Just give a click on that. All those 708 papers will appear one by one. Fine. You can easily find out in Google Scholar. Then PubMed, I just go to PubMed. And for example, I just typed a lung cancer. I got a lot of results. This one particular research paper written by me, for example, I just come down, can see here cited by, You just click that, you'll find out how many citations this particular research paper has received. It's very simple. Okay, so this way, there are many citation databases that help you to understand how many citations you have received for your papers. Good, fine. Till now, you've got two important things. In order to measure the research productivity of an individual author, we need to depend on certain parameters like number of research papers published, number of citations received, and many other parameters. I don't mean that only these two are the parameters which can be used for assessing the individual's research impact. Of course, there are many more that we'll see in the slides to come. But as of now, I just tell you, these two parameters are very, very important. One is number of papers you published over the years and number of citations that you have received for those papers in all those years. So now I know number of papers, number of citations. With these two important measurements, what I'm going to do? See, we are going to calculate something called author metrics. Author metrics are nothing but certain indices, certain measurements, which help us to understand to what extent a researcher is productive in his research work, to what extent the researcher has created an impact in the own community of his own subject field. So this is normally identified from these two things, that is number of papers published, number of citations received by that particular author during a course or time. Fine. So whenever you want to measure the research impact of an individual researcher, individual faculty member, we could come across around 15 to 20 different types of metrics that can be used to measure the research impact of individuals. So we'll try to see one by one. I would like to show you the most popular research indices like H index, G index, item index. These are very, very popular because these indices are used in some leading databases. So we have come to know about these metrics. Apart from these three, there are good number of research metrics that can be used for measuring the research impact of individuals that we explore today. Good. The first and foremost, very popular one is H index, which was, I can say, invented by J.E.H. in 2005. Actually, he's from University of California. He was a physics professor, and he thought of a particular methodology to measure the relative importance of the physics professors working in the university. So he thought of this particular index, which is named after his name, called H index. See, H index can be used to measure not only the individual's research impact, you can also use H index to measure the research impact of an individual journal, individual department, individual country, or individual university. So this can be applied to all these kinds of units. Fine. So what is H index? H index is an index which takes into consideration both the number of papers published and the number of citations you receive. See, the definition goes this way. Highest number of papers that a scientist has written that have each received at least that number of citations. For example, if you say that your H index is 5, it means that all your 5 papers have received at least 5 times. Each paper has got at least 5 citations. If you say that your H index is 10, it means that all your 10 papers have received at least 10 citations. Each paper has received at least 10 citations. Fine. For example, I'm just giving an example. There is an author who has published 10 research papers. Okay. And I know how many citations were received by all these 10 papers. Now, I am arranging all these 10 papers in the decreasing order of number of citations received by those 10 papers. Okay. First paper received 70 citations, second paper 12, third paper 6, this way in the decreasing order. And this is a rank I have given to the papers based on the citation scores received by them. Fine. The rule says that H index is equal to when the rank and citations are equal, rank and citation should be equal, or the citation should be more than rank. Either rank and citation should be equal, or citation should be more than rank and citation should never be less than rank. So that cutoff point is called as H index. In this case, the rank is 5, citation is 5, his H index is 5. That means all his 5 papers have received at least 5 citations. For example, you can ask a question, sir, if this particular researcher wants to increase his H index from 5 to 6, what he should do? Very simple. If he has to get a H index of 6 means, then this 5 should become 6, this 5 should become 6, this 4 should become 6, then he will get a H index of 6. I think it's very clear. H index is equal to rank is equal to citations, or citation is more than the rank. That's what H index is all about. And H index is given by various databases like Web of Science, Scopus, Google Scholar. For the same author, you may get different H index in different domains. For example, you take an author by the name Alexander, his H index is 32 in Web of Science, but it is 30 in Scopus and 20 in Google Scholar. So it depends on, there are many reasons why there is a variation in the number of H index of this particular author in different platforms. Good. But there is a problem with the H index. See, I just give a case here. You see the author A and author B. Author A has got only 47 citations totally for all his 10 papers. His H index is 4. But if you see B, he has got 197 papers. His H index also is 3. Just imagine. But what do they use here? To get a H index of 4, A, if he is getting just 4 into 4, 16 citations, more than sufficient. Just for 47 citations, he has got H index of 4. But B, no, though he worked hard, very hard, though he got 197 citations, his H index is not improved. He has got only 3 citations. And this is the problem with H index. H index does not give importance to excess citations. Excess citations. That means to get a H index of 4, if you are having minimum 16 citations, is more than sufficient. But here, to get a citation H index of 3, you should have just 9 citations. But this gentleman has got 197 citations. So H index does not give importance to the excess citations received by the author. These are few issues H index. Just leave out it. Now, to overcome this problem, Kosmilsky introduced a new technique called H square index, CH index, and CH square index. Let us see what these indices are all about. See, H square index. See, H square index means if you say that your H square index is 10, it means that all your 10 papers, each of your 10 papers have received 10 into 10, 100 citation. You're having 10 papers, each paper has got 100 citations, then you can say your H square index is 10. In the same way, if your H square index is 20, it means that 20 into 20, 400. That means all your 20 papers, each of your 20 papers has received 400 citations each. This is called H square index. Fine. Yes. Here, I just give an example here. This is a paper ID and this is a number of citations received by author A. And H square tells you what is his H square index. See, for example, if you take this particular author, you can see here, see H square means you have to square. Okay, 1 into 1, 1, 2 into 2, 4, 3 into 3, 9, that way. See, 7 into 7, 49, 8 into 8, 64. That means that if I am taking 49, 7 as his H square index, he has got minimum of 49 citations in all these papers. I cannot say that his H square index is 8 because his citation is not 64 in all the cases. So this is another version of H square index. Good. Then, what about other indexes? I'll just take you. CH index. See, when you are calculating H index, you are not excluding self citations. That means, see, you have cited your own papers